Yay!
Oh my God. I love going live. We're like, ah. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to be here with my good friend, Patricia Lohan. I'm Tracy Matthews. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer of Flourish and Thrive Academy and Creatives Rule the World. Patricia, welcome here today.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
Surprise live stream. You know, usually on my channels, we're talking about business stuff. And I don't usually talk about how to unlock the energy of your home to get what you want and all those things. But I thought this was really powerful. And I want to share a story, like as we're kind of like rolling into this quick little interview that we're going to do today.
Yeah.
When I met you, I had just moved into a brand new apartment. Mm-hmm. And I was in this, I just like sent out an email to you with like the before and after of the apartment. I've been living in a brownstone in the West Village, which I loved the neighborhood. The apartment was like really cute and small and quaint and stuff like that. But I felt like my energy had kind of grown out of it. Even though it was like newly renovated, I felt like the ceilings were kind of low. And it was like literally like, because it was such a small apartment, like crushing my capacity to create and expand as an entrepreneur. So I ended up moving to this new space. I had open windows. And even though the size of the apartment wasn't even that much bigger, it was just that the way that the apartment was set up, in the feeling that I got from it, like really led to more positive energy and positive vibes and prosperity. So I'm excited to talk to you a little bit more about this.
And you know, this is one of the big things that actually how I, I first found out about Feng Shui when I was 15, and we had moved house many, many times as growing up. And there's one particular house I remember us moving into, and my parents' business got like so busy, like literally it was like their business was just like printing money. Like it just was just phenomenal. But we moved into this new house and it was like a total upgrade. It was like the best upgrade. We lived in like the fancy street. Like it was just, where it was like the named area. Yep. And it was great. We were in the right place, location, and the money was flowing in like all of our neighbors. But our personal lives like fell apart. Like my mom got really sick. We had all these crazy legal issues. We had so much drama that never really existed in our lives before. And it was kind of like, what just happened? Like the only thing that changed was we moved house. And then everything just started to fall apart, and it was all a bit crazy. And the thing is, money wasn't an issue at the time in this particular house. And houses of different types and stuff, which I will talk about in my masterclass coming up. But it's just that, the idea that you can even reflect a transformation in your life from just one move from one place to the other is exactly what we talk about, is that your house, your home has a specific energy and it can bring you to a certain place. So for example, I know that you do loads of like personal development and, probably over that time you were doing a lot of inner work and kind of like, and mindset and all of that. And your own energy was rising up. But when you got that brownstone, it was like the house was a match for where you were at. Yeah. It was it's a match. And it was like helping and supporting manifesting at that level, not at this new higher level that you were at. So probably almost like holding you back, which is what I love to see is people just like you, or clients who come in that have been doing this work or they're on this journey. And as their energy rises up, their house isn't. But you don't have to move house. This is the other thing. I've actually never told anybody they need to move house. Really? You don't need to move house to change the energy. That's what I do with Feng Shui. It's about changing the energy so that the house starts to come up with you. And then you're like, whoa. And it sees these kind of explosive transformations and results from just working with the actual energy. And it's not necessarily just, you were talking about the walls and the thing, but for me, there'll be a lot of other things that I'd be able to literally have looked at and be like, well, the reason is because of this, comparing it to this house, it's that, so it's a bit more complex, but yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about Feng Shui and the energy in your home today. So I'd love to just, in your words, I had you on the podcast this week on the Thrive by Design podcast. We have a really an amazing interview. So if you haven't watched that episode, make sure that you head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/297. You can listen to the full episode. Patricia talks a little bit more in depth about her Powerhouse, her how to unlock the energy in your home masterclass series that's coming up. And we're going to talk about that today too. But before we do, let's talk about like your version of Feng Shui and the difference between like a traditional school of Feng Shui? Like how is that different?
So there's many different schools of Feng Shui, and when something comes from the east to the west, there can be ways of like kind of watering it down, making it kind of like the McDonald's version. You know, when we originally all started like having food, it was like everything came from the ground and was grown. And now it's like we have all this kind of processed version. And there's actually those types of, there's that kind of a dynamic with Feng Shui as well. So there's some very much kind of like, let's bring it to total basics and DIY it down, which is what a lot of us may have been exposed to in the past. Like, oh, walk into your front door and over there on the left is the money area, or the right is this other school. And that's actually what I would kind of talk about as more generic and kind of fast food Feng Shui, which some people love.
And they're just like fast food Feng Shui.
Go for it. Like, and they're like, this is so good. I just found this thing on Google and I've done it. And I got these results, and I'm like, well, for me, part of that could be just placebo, like our intention, like we've just done a bit of, yes. When it comes to the Feng Shui that I practice, we actually practice classical flying stars. So the kind of more generic version just says that every house, the front door is this, it's this, every house is the same. The school of Feng Shui that we practice is that every house is unique, just like every person. And I like to talk about Feng Shui as being like acupuncture for your home. So it's like, you know, we could both present to the acupuncturist with the exact same things that this is what's wrong, this is wrong. But they could treat, she or he could treat us very differently because of our age, our year, or whatever things. They would treat us differently. And that's exactly what happens with a house. We treat every house uniquely. And that's where there's like this differentiation between this more like bespoke working with the energy, which is people may think, oh, you know, Feng Shui, Patricia's going to come and move all my furniture and tell me to hang a beautiful picture of a cherry blossom here and declutter everything. And actually, for me, I'm like an energy worker for your home. So it can be very subtle. Your house may not look any different, but it would feel different and things would flow differently. And I love to, really one of the biggest parts of this for me is the fact that when we are working with Feng Shui, we are tapping into the energy of that universal flow, that Taoism principle of flow and connecting into flow. And Feng Shui is all about balancing this yin and yang energy. So sometimes a house may have excess of one energy that is going to create, you know, different manifestations. And other houses may have too much yin, too much fire, too much water. And what we want to do is balance it. So when we bring that balance, it's like we're in nature in the perfect, you know, in the perfect forest. We're in the forest and we're like so connected and feeling so blissful, or you're by the ocean and wherever your favorite place in nature is. And you just feel like, oh my God, I feel so good after being in that place. That's what we want to recreate in your house. And when you feel that good, everything else starts to flow. Yeah, so it's really my work is really about demystifying it and knowing, you know, okay, this, you know, lucky frog, if you want to it in your house, you can have it, but I'm not into those. Like, I don't have any lucky frogs or
coins in the corner.
Like, that's not what I practice. So it's it's quite interesting, these different schools. And for me, I'm just here going like every house is unique, and there's things that we can do on the surface and many layers, and then there's work that we can do on the energetic realm is what I love working with my clients, and that's where we see the biggest transformations.
Oh, so Feng Shui, like in working with the energy of your home, it could really like untap anything. So it could help you be more creative. It could help you get the prosperity or abundance that you're trying to manifest. It can help you develop the relationship that you want. One of the things that I loved about what you said, it's really about the energy in your home. And when I moved from that West Village apartment into the other apartment, I know that move was the right move for me. And one of the reasons that I knew is just how I felt in there. Like, I knew I was going to have like a great year in business. I felt like I was going to have like meet the person that I was supposed to be with there. I knew like all these things were going to happen, and slowly but surely they started coming in because of the way I felt when I was in that place.
Yeah. And, you know, I love that you talked about the fact that it can untap all areas. And that honestly, one of the best parts of Feng Shui, it's like every aspect. So there's, you know, if you have issues with your family or issues in you call in a relationship or health or your career, or for example, like your creativity is on fire and you're like the most creative, like jeweler. I know that we talk about the creatives here in this, you know, but nobody knows about you. You're like the world's best kept secret. There's the fame and reputation area. Like I have a client, Tanya, who every time she took a feng shui action in her home, she got on TV. I took 14 television appearances within a few months every time. You know, it's just like, and that was one of the things that she really wanted to get in her business was, you know, exposure for her business and to be not the best kept secret, you know, so it's really, it's like where we're at, it meets us where we're at, and it will help us expand because it's like, you know, we all have on this potential within us. You know, I feel like there's so much latent potential within us all, and we may be limiting it with our mindset or our energy, but sometimes it's actually your house. And when people come into my world, I'm like, oh, well, the reason this hasn't happened is because of this, and this is how you fix it. So it's nice. It's very you know, solution based. So it's my favorite part. Yeah.
So I love it that also that, you know, you can really focus on anything. I love the thing about the fame area, because especially for people who are artists trying to get their work out there, that fame and exposure area of your house, or that energy, I should say, is something that you want to really cultivate. It's like, how are people going to find out about me, and that how can we really make this happen, which I think is super valuable. I am so excited about this because I am really pumped for your masterclass more than anything. I'm going to be participating in it. It starts tomorrow. So I want to hear, can you tell us a little bit more about what your masterclass is all about? And it's really a masterclass series. And so for people who, it's a 3-part training, right?
Yeah, we have 4 videos. Okay. Yeah, 4
videos. 4 Tell us a little bit about it. It's called How to Unlock the Energy of Your Home and Turn It into a Magnet for Whatever You Want. So tell us a little bit about this.
So, first of all, as you can hear, I'm out to really demystify Feng Shui and really get people like going, wow, like awakening to the potential of something that we may not have tapped into. So we talk about like the history of Feng Shui, but also how to get started. Like what's the first thing you should look at? What's the next thing you can do? And how to really just get that like connection with our home. You know, you talked about like, I knew these are things are happening, and you had this like real positive connection we want to build out with our houses. And then we're going to move into learning about the different house types, and there's a quiz that you're going to get a chance to do, and I'll explain like why certain things are happening in your life. So I talked about my own experience moving to one house, and you know, now I look back and I'm like, well, I know it was this because it was this certain house type. So you're going to be able to find out what house type you have, or kind of an indication of it, because you know, you see and you know, like when I hear over the years different people saying this is what's going on, and I'm like, well, actually, these are the things that are happening in my life, and then I'm like, okay, well, this is actually because your house is like this type, and then we'll move into actually focusing on the prosperity part. And you know, as I said, there's loads of different aspects that we can tap into. You know, whether it's the creativity, the health, the career, the fame, our family, our relationships. You know, like the first thing I did was feng shui my place to call in love, and I met my husband. You know, so like that was how I got into feng shui. That was my first thing, was just like, I'm gonna feng shui this place for love. Moved into a new apartment, and I just had this feeling like you. Now, just to kind of make this clear, like that apartment had a really bad reputation for love. My sister owned that apartment. She had lived there for 9 years, and she was single for the whole time. So I was moving into a house apartment that did not have a good reputation for love. And I'm like, I'm changing this. And I did some tweaks around it and set it up. And then I met my husband, Ken. So there's like, you know, whatever your focus is, and we're going to talk specifically on the prosperity angle as well. And then the other thing that is really important for me is just answering people's questions. So those masterclasses are available. You'll be able to watch and binge all of those. But I will be doing a Q&A after each one is released live in my Facebook group, because you may have heard something about feng shui that has like kind of, you know, weirded you out, or maybe you have it in your house and you're like, oh, I've heard this is bad. What should I do? I want to answer those questions. Like, I want to make sure that you're like, okay, I'm not doomed because of this. You know, what can I do to mitigate it? How can I improve it? So I do those live Q&A sessions as well. And that's just an opportunity for you to have your questions answered and not go down a hole of Google of just like stuff that's just really not accurate. And that's really part of my mission, you know, make it mainstream, but also, you know, get the right information to you.
Well, I am so excited. I'm going to be participating. And if you would like to join me, head on over to, you can actually type the word Powerhouse in the comments below. You aren't going to get a message if you do that, but I will come in and find you on the different platforms and make sure that you have the link. But also you can head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/prosperity and get in on the challenge today. It starts tomorrow on April 15th. Yeah, that's a really special day for me too. So April 15th, awesome day. And, or significant day for me, I should say. And so you're going to be dropping, are they all released at the same time, or do they go on certain days?
So the first one is going to go out tomorrow, and then you'll have the Q&A session on Friday. So you can join me for the Q&A or the replay of the Q&A on Friday, and then the next one will go out on Saturday. So you have like some time to kind of like digest the information, send your questions in, and then we have a visitor. My puppy has just come in. so we have and then I'll do the Q&A the following day, and then again the next video will go live and there'll be the Q&A. So it's really just time to like digest all the information. And people who watch all 4 videos will also be entered in a competition to win a place on my next Bali retreat. So there's a great, you know, I really want people to learn about Feng Shui. And I was like, how can we make it just a bit spicier and a bit fun to come and join me? So once you watch all those videos, there'll be a short question, a few questions about the videos, easy ones to answer, and then you'll be entered in the draw for a place to join me on my Bali retreat when we all kind of get back to normal.
Oh my gosh. So Patricia spends half her time, or she used to spend half her time in Bali. So if you want to go to Bali and hang out with Patricia, definitely do this. And I'm going to be doing it. So I'd love to play along with you. If you're interested in learning more, type the word Powerhouse in the comments below, or you can head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/prosperity and join me and Patricia for her How to Unlock the Hidden Energy of Your Home to make it a magnet for what you want. Because you can have anything, you can have it all, and we're going to help you do this. I'm going to say we're going to help you do it, but I'm learning from you. So,
so good. I'm so excited. So come to me.
Awesome. So we'll see everyone there, and we'll chat with you soon. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.